She said, "I'm not sure I love you anymore, but I still want us to stay together." So, I stopped being the man she didn't love, and let her watch in silence as she lost what she once had. My name is Nathan. I'm 34, born and raised in Denver, and until recently, I thought I was building a forever with Tara, 33, sharp-witted, the kind of woman who could recite entire movie dialogues but still laughed at my dumb jokes. We met 4 years ago at a trivia night. Nothing cinematic, just two strangers landing on the same team because of a shared love for obscure film references. By last call, we were exchanging numbers and life stories like we'd known each other for years. 2 years in, we moved in together, a modest apartment with too much natural light and not enough closet space. We adopted Bean, a scrappy rescue cat who quickly became the center of our universe. Our routines were simple but sacred. Morning coffee in silence, late-night YouTube rabbit holes, weekend grocery runs where she'd always sneak a bar of overpriced dark chocolate into the cart. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Then, 2 Sundays ago, she sat me down at the dining table, her untouched tea cooling between us. "Can we talk?" Her voice wasn't cruel, just hesitant. She loved me, as a person, but wasn't sure she was in love anymore. Still, she wanted to keep living together, to preserve the life we'd built. "Maybe we're better as life partners," she offered, like it was a compromise instead of a grenade. I nodded, thanked her for her honesty, and slept on the couch that night, not out of anger, but because the idea of sharing a bed after that conversation felt like lying. The next morning, I skipped our usual rituals. The goodbye kiss, the love you text. She noticed but didn't comment. That evening, I moved into the spare room, the one we'd used as a dumping ground for mismatched storage. "Are we breaking up?" she asked. "No," I said, "just adjusting." And so I adjusted. No more Friday flowers. No surprise lunches delivered to her office. When she came home exhausted, I didn't offer foot rubs or draw her baths. I wasn't punishing her. I was just no longer pouring love into a cup she'd admitted was empty. By Thursday, I'd canceled our shared streaming subscriptions and made a spreadsheet to split expenses evenly. Roommate rules. That night, she cooked dinner, a peace offering. I ate it, thanked her, Venmo'd her half the cost, and washed the dishes. Her face twisted like I'd spoken in code. Friday was sushi night, a tradition. She texted, "Sushi tonight?" I replied, "Dinner with a coworker. Maybe next time." The coworker was Ryan, a guy she'd always rolled her eyes at. Loud, unserious. Exactly the distraction I needed. When I came home, she was on the couch scrolling through old photos of us, Bean purring in her lap. "You're acting like a stranger," she said. I met her eyes. "No, I'm acting like someone who heard you." The next night, she cornered me in the guest room. "Do you still love me?" "Yes," I said. "But love isn't a performance." She reached for my hand like nothing had changed. I pulled back. This doesn't feel right anymore. The final straw came when she called me about a flat tire. "Can you come help?" "You have AAA," I said. Not cruel, just consistent. If I wasn't her partner, I wouldn't play the part. Her sister called me later, baffled. "She thought you'd fight for her." That's when it clicked. Tara hadn't wanted honesty. She'd wanted a spectacle, a grand gesture to soothe her doubt. Instead, I'd given her the respect of believing her words. When she left, it was without fanfare. Just a note on the counter. Maybe I made a mistake. No apology, no plea. Just 5 words and an empty bookshelf where we'd once built something together. Now the apartment is quieter. I cook more. I finally started those guitar lessons. I miss her, but not the limbo she left me in. Love shouldn't be a test. And if walking away when someone says, "I don't want you," is failing, then I'm glad I failed. 3 weeks after Tara left, I came home to find a missed call from her.
No voicemail.
Just a silent echo of what used to be. I didn't call back. Being ever the impartial observer, adjusted faster than I did. He no longer lingered by the door at 6:15 p.m., waiting for the sound of her keys. Instead, he claimed her side of the bed, sprawling across the pillows like he'd been waiting for the chance. Then, On a random Tuesday, Lauren texted me. She's staying with me. Says she can't sleep. I didn't ask for details. But Lauren, ever the meddler, added, she cries when your Instagram stories pop up. I hadn't posted anything. Just a single silent view of her watching my empty updates. A month in, Tara broke the silence. Can we talk? Same words as before, but this time her voice wavered. We met at a coffee shop, the neutral ground of failed relationships. She looked tired. Her nails, always perfectly polished, were bitten down. I thought I'd feel free, she admitted, stirring her latte long after the sugar had dissolved. But it just feels empty. I didn't say, I told you so. Didn't remind her she was the one who walked away. Just listened as she unraveled. How she missed our routines, how dating felt hollow, how no one else laughed at her weird movie references. Do you ever think we could? No. I cut her off. Not harshly. Just finally. You didn't lose me because you stopped loving me. You lost me because you expected me to beg. She flinched. That's not fair. Neither was loving someone who treated love like a negotiation. The check came. I paid for both drinks, one last holdover from who I used to be. As we stood to leave, she grabbed my wrist. What if I regret it? I pried her fingers loose gently. Then you regret it. But regret doesn't undo things. She didn't cry, just nodded, her jaw tight. You're different now. Yeah, I said. I had to be. Walking away, I realized the cruelest lesson. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes the person you'd bleed for needs to watch you walk away before they understand what blood is worth. I didn't look back. Bean was waiting when I got home. The apartment smelled like coffee and the new guitar strings I'd been learning. The silence didn't ache anymore. It just was. And for the first time in a long time, so was I. Months passed. The seasons changed in Denver, crisp autumn air giving way to the first hard freeze of winter. I kept the apartment. Felt different now, lighter in ways I couldn't explain. The walls didn't echo with absence anymore. They simply existed, holding space for whatever came next. Bean grew fat and happy. His days spent sunning himself in patches of light that shifted across the floor. I got better at guitar. Not good, but better. The calluses on my fingers felt like progress. Tara's name still popped up sometimes. A stray like on an old photo, a mutual friend mentioning her in passing. She'd started seeing someone, I heard. Some guy from her yoga class. I wondered if he knew how she took her coffee. If he remembered to text her when it rained because she always forgot her umbrella. If he laughed at her movie quotes. I didn't stalk her social media. Didn't drunk text. Didn't rage or mourn or do any of the things I thought I might. I just lived. Then, one evening in early December, I ran into her at the grocery store. The same one where we'd always bought overpriced chocolate. She was alone, holding a basket with wine and frozen pizza. We stood there in the snack aisle, two strangers who used to know each other's heartbeat. Hey, she said. Hey, a pause. The fluorescent lights hummed above us. You look good, she offered. I nodded. You too. It wasn't awkward, wasn't loaded. Just two people acknowledging a history that no longer fit either of them. She glanced at my cart, ingredients for chili, a six-pack, cat treats. Beans still ruling the place? Like a tiny, furry dictator. She smiled, and for a second, it was like no time had passed. Then she shifted her weight, and the moment broke. Well, she said. I should. Yeah, I said. Me too. We didn't hug. Didn't promise to catch up. Just nodded and walked our separate ways. At the checkout, I added a chocolate bar to my groceries on impulse. Not her favorite. Mine. The night was clear and cold when I stepped outside. My breath fogged in the air as I loaded the bags into my car. Somewhere in the city, Tara was doing the same. Living her life. Making choices. Learning lessons. I drove home with the windows down. The winter air sharp against my skin. Bean greeted me at the door, weaving between my legs as I unpacked the groceries. I broke off a piece of chocolate, ate it standing at the counter, and texted a girl I'd been talking to. Someone who made me laugh, who didn't treat love like a question. You free this weekend? 3 dots appeared. Then, depends. You cooking that famous chili? I grinned. Could be arranged. Outside, the first snow of the season began to fall. Quiet, relentless, covering everything in a clean white silence. I didn't wonder about Tara. Didn't ache or second guess. I just stood there, watching the flakes swirl in the streetlight, and realized I was happy. Not the performative kind. Not the look how well I'm doing kind. Just happy. And that was enough.